Okay, in this video we're going to learn how to make a title block in Revit. We're going to draw a drawing index as well, and we're going to just kind of bring all of this in. So first thing I did was I modified a title block to then have no information on it. So I'm going to go to my regular floor plan 1. What I first did was I clicked on this title block that I had brought into my project already that I used for all my other sheets. And then I say Edit Family, so I click on Edit Family. And in this, what I would do is I would just highlight everything I don't want to exist in the cover page, all of that information, and just press delete. So here I'm just deleting all of the information in the actual title block, and I'm just keeping the boundary of the page. And then I would go to File, Save As. This is very important that we don't override our actual title block that we've been using, and Family. When I save that as a family, I'm just going to name it as cover, and then I would say load into project and close. In my case, I'm just going to exit out of this because I don't want to override my project. I already have my cover page made. For my actual cover page, that's going to be named G001. So if you right click, then we would go and we'll bring in our actual cover page, and then we would name it to G001 and cover sheet and say OK. So in order to get that in, we'd be right-clicking New Sheets, and then we'd be bringing in that cover page, that cover sheet, and then we'd be renaming it to G001. Okay, now that we have this, we'd have this nice blank cover sheet. Then we need to add the title of our project, the address of our project. So to do that, we go to the Annotate tab and we click on Text. And when we click on Text, we can click on basically the screen to drop in our text. Then we can click on the actual text and say Edit Type, and then we can change by duplicating it, renaming it, and then we would go down here and change the font size and the text size. So here you can see that I have some 332 fonts. So it's pretty small. That's my smallest font that I have, and I probably use that for like my annotation here. I did 1/8. So I use it in some instances where I need really tiny text. But here you can see that this one, I have a text that I named Title for Cover, and the height of this text was 1 inch tall. So that's basically how you would go through and edit your text. This right here is a rendering that I brought in, and I made a custom viewport for this one. So if you create a rendering, you would have to go to a 3D view. And in your 3D view, you find you drop in a camera, you pick a view that you like, then up in the View tab, you go to Render. When you click on Render, you have a few settings you can play around with. Once you know you like it, you can go to High, but maybe you might start with Medium or Draft. And you would go to Sun and Artificial, or Sun only, or Artificial only. If you're doing a nighttime scene, Artificial only. If you're doing both, Sun and Artificial is fine. You can adjust the artificial lights. These are lights that it already recognizes in my project, so you can see I brought in a lot of lights into my project, and you can check them on or off. So here I have the building well lit. And then under the image, adjust exposure allows you to kind of change some of the settings. So if you don't like how things are turning out in the rendering, feel free to adjust this and try and re-render it. Then once you do your render, it'll think for a while. And when it's done, you have to click on Save to Project, and then it'll show up underneath a rendering section. So after you click Save to Project, you'll see your rendering show up under Renderings here. And here I have a few different renderings of the building. Here it is at night. And so if I want to drag in the building into my cover sheet, what I would do is go to my actual cover sheet. So I'm going to double click. See if I can get to it. There we go. And then I would have to just drag in my rendering. So here I'm going to drag in this rendering at night and click that in. But notice that it wants to come in with this tag. So then I would click on the border of that rendering, and I'm going to say on this viewport, Edit Type, Duplicate, and I'm going to name it Viewport for Cover. And essentially we don't want to see the view title. No. And say OK. And then my title goes away, and now I have just the image. So that looks a lot cleaner for our actual cover. And if I need to double click in, I can change the size of my actual rendering, and then I can bring that in. So this is my cover page. Now I probably wouldn't keep this actual image in on my cover because it kind of makes it look crowded right now. So I'm going to go and delete out this nighttime rendering. However, that's how you would go and bring in a rendering for your cover page. Okay, now we have one more item that we still need to address. And that's how to bring in our schedule, our drawing index here, and reorder our sheets so that way they print correctly. So we can do both of that at the same time. It's not letting me select my rendering, so I'm going to have to mess with that later. Okay, so here, in order to bring in a drawing index, what you do is you go up to the View tab, and then we go down to Schedules and Sheet List. With Sheet List, we want to throw in a few things, so I'll look at the settings here for you. But basically it's going to be sheet number, sheet name, and then drawing index, but we're going to hide, and then drawing order, but we're going to hide the drawing order. And that will allow us to put this in the order that we want our sheets to print out at. So let's go to my settings here. Now that you know how to make a drawing index, let's look at what these look like here. So I'm going to go to Edit Schedule, and here's the order that I chose. Under Fields, the first thing I chose was Order. Okay, I'm splicing in how to make the Order field. You won't find it in the available fields, so what you have to do is click on this icon here, and it says New Parameter. When I click on that, I need to make a new parameter called Order. The discipline is going to be common. The type of parameter is going to be integer, and then other right down here is fine. And then you say OK. Now I already have one named Order, so I'm going to just say close and exit, but that's how you make this order parameter in this field that's in our project. Then it shows sheet number and sheet name. Then under filter, I have none. Sorting and grouping, I did sort by order, and then sheet number, and that was it. So first by order, then by sheet number. And I have itemize every instance checked. Under formatting for order, I have it as a hidden field. That way we don't see it here on our actual sheet. Under sheet number, it's just regular. And for sheet name, it's just regular. So order is the one that we check for hidden field. Under appearance, I have thin lines on. Everything else here is basically set to the text font type that I wanted, so it matched everything else. And then I say OK. And then this drawing index comes into our page. So drawing index comes into our cover sheet then. If we drag that in, so I would go down to my drawing index and I would drag that right into my sheet and place that as so. Now, in order to get the order correct, then I have to go to my plans, and on the title block, if I click on the title block, I have properties for it, and at the very bottom of my properties for this view, for this sheet view, so I don't click on the title block. On this sheet view, if I scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll see that I have order, and this is my third one in my order. The other views are in the order that I want. So I start with my cover sheet, that's my order 1. So if I click on cover sheet, you'll see that order is number 1, so that way it comes first. Site plan would be order 2, and then here my floor plan was order 3. So now that we have that as a property in our schedule, we'll see that populate in our sheets properties as well, and now I can go and change the orders. So I have to do it in that order. Alright, now we can go and PDF this into one giant submission to turn in. So in order to do that, I have to go to File, and then I go to Export, then I go to Print, and we are going to print this as a PDF, so I'm going to say Adobe PDF, and I'm going to go to Selected Views and Sheets, and I'm going to then check, then I click on Select, and I would uncheck my views, and then I say check all for sheets. Now I have all my sheets checked. I would say OK. I'd like to say no on that when it asks me if I want to save settings. And then here I'm going to go to Setup, and I'm going to choose this to be size D. So I'm going to say Arc D, zoom 100% and center, Arc D. That's the size of our title block. And then from here I'm going to go into say OK. And now we have all of our settings set, so that way we can turn this into one giant PDF and everything should be in order, and then I just say OK. And then I would go and drop this in. I'm going to tell it where I want to save, and I need to remember that location. And then here it's in the middle of PDFing. This thing should work all the way through. If it ever bogs down or slows down on you to the point where it can't finish PDFing everything, you can also export images, but they come in as individual files.